Viktor Orban has done it again. On his terms, without European approval and in an open display of defiant diplomacy, the Hungarian Prime Minister walked into the Kremlin and sat across the table from what Brussels calls its number one enemy, Russian President Vladimir Putin. For Orban, this was not optics. This was messaging.
Dear Mr. President, first of all, allow me to thank you for the opportunity to negotiate with you here today. This is the 14th time I am meeting with you as Prime Minister. Hungary is interested in peace, and we sincerely hope that recently announced peace initiatives will ultimately lead to this very peace.
Enemy for Europe, but a respected leader for Orban. At the Kremlin, Putin did not hide his approval. He openly singled out Orban as one of the few European leaders who, in his words, sees reality instead of propaganda.
We know your balanced position on Ukrainian issues. You belong precisely to the number of people who see the realities on the ground, and proceeding from these realities, formulate your political position.
This was not just another handshake. It was Viktor Orban's 14th meeting with Putin as Hungarian Prime Minister, more than any NATO or EU leader since the war began. And while Brussels continues its diplomatic boycott of Moscow, Orban calls this not betrayal, but his peace playbook.
Hungary is interested in peace. Our meeting today gives me the opportunity to confirm that Hungary is ready to provide a platform for such negotiations and is ready to provide assistance for the successful completion of this process.
Hours before the meeting, both leaders had already set the tone. Putin, in his CSTO press conference, lashed out at the European Union over Russian asset seizures, calling it theft and warning of economic chaos. At the same time, Orban, in Serbia, was questioning Europe's very relevance in global decision-making.
Everyone speaks directly about this, that this would be theft of someone else's property. Trust in the Eurozone will sharply decrease, and against the background of difficulties in the economy, this will be a difficult test.
The Americans and Russians are negotiating about the future, while from Brussels they're waiting in the lobby and peeking through the keyhole at what those great powers over there are talking.
And this positioning did not start in Moscow. Just days earlier, Orban was in Washington, sitting across the table from US President Donald Trump. There, he found praise, alignment, and a platform to attack both Kyiv and Brussels.
We were talking about that with Viktor. He understands Putin and knows him very well. And I feel that, I'm going to let you say what you think, but I think that Viktor feels we're going to get that war ended in the not too distant future. Viktor, do you want to talk about that?
Well, I'm strongly convinced. So the question is whether we Westerners are unified or not. The problem is that the president has huge peace efforts, which are just splendid and very positive for the European continent and all the peoples of Europe. But at the same time, we are not unified because Brussels and the Europeans have a different approach to the war.
Orban's positioning has pushed him into a controversial power zone. For Brussels, he is increasingly seen as an unreliable partner, even a Russian proxy. For Orban, it's the opposite. He wears that criticism as a political weapon, saying Hungary comes first, even if it enrages EU elites and undermines their war narrative. He calls Brussels pro-war. He calls Ukraine funding a burden on European taxpayers, and he frames himself as the only leader in Europe speaking uncomfortable truths. Now, with Trump openly talking peace and Putin laying down hard conditions, one question remains unanswered. Will Budapest become the stage for the next big push toward negotiations? The summit is neither confirmed nor cancelled, but for now, Viktor Orban stands as the only European leader actively engaging both Trump and Putin. Not as a hero, not as a traitor, but as a political operator trying to carve Hungary's place in a war-shaped world.